Hey everyone, I'm Clive,
And I am Louis.
and today we're going to be talking about BIM best practices. It's a new webinar series. First one, we'll be talking about how to create the perfect BIM execution plan, and we'll be showing you the steps and some best practices to follow, about some industry challenges, the best practices that we can use to overcome those challenges, and then we'll finish on some pretty tough questions. So Louis, in our industry, what do you think the biggest challenge is today?
I don't know where to start. Can are you asking me about one or many?
There are so many to choose. What about lack of trained resources? We suffer from that.
That's yeah, that's a good one.
And how about when you get an owner asking for certain things that are slightly unrealistic, especially when it comes to BIM?
What's wrong with this image? Nothing. They got that driveway all the way up to the door. Looks good to me.
Makes it work, doesn't it? Makes it work. And what about when you have disagreement between parties? Some people see certain things and others see others, and sometimes there's a difference of opinion. There's a third opinion that comes into the fray as well.
I'm more of a four guy myself.
And then interpretation of instructions. We obviously want to have really clear and a definition of what the work is and what we should do. And even when we think it's clear, this example, a cloud turns into a physical cloud that's actually cut out from the slab. That can be pretty interesting to explain, eh?
Yeah. I actually knew a guy that it was an architect I worked for. He actually lost his previous company due to a north arrows.
Actually, it's a very sad story, but somebody losing their company, North Arrow. What about wasting time? Sometimes we have challenges where we're probably distracted or we're not using our time very, very well. What about wasting time? I'm going to go there.
Yeah, how about there?
Oh,
My turn.
it's like you got me, Louis. The big problem in our industry is miscommunication. So, okay, there are a lot of things, a lot of challenges, but how can we fix those, Louis? What's one of the things that we're implementing as an industry to help fix that?
Well, there's BIM. BIM can help us solve a lot of these challenges. And there's Super BIM. He's supposed to help us with all of it.
Absolutely. There are lots of different things that he can do. And if we're using BIM for them, hopefully we're going to help our industry and solve those challenges. However, what we see is there are still lots of challenges, and actually BIM brings with it a lot of challenges in itself. And some of those challenges we'll talk about solving today. How do we mitigate those challenges, Louis? What do we generally do?
Well, for BIM, we mitigate those with the BIM execution plan. BIM execution plans help align expectations, set the project standards, processes, and align those. So that's what.
Yep, absolutely. So we have our version 7.3 underscore final BIM execution plan. But how does that go when we create a BIM execution plan generally? How does that go? Well, we sometimes see that BIM execution plan end up not being used as well or as much as it should be.
Usually only look at the BIM execution plan, unfortunately, when shit hits the fan. So when something bad happens and someone's missing information at the very end, that's when teams really start looking for that requirement to kind of back themselves up. That's the unfortunate nature of how BIM execution plans are treated today.
Why is that generally? Well, it's generally because they're not very useful in their current form. A lot of pages, 97 pages. Would you want to read a document like that? Probably not. Probably. So let's get straight to it. Let's talk about some best practices. Let's go into the details and let's see what we can do for creating successful BIM execution plans. Should we take a look?
Yeah, let's have a look.
8 headlines that we will cover. We're going to go into a demonstration, walk you through that workflow, and hopefully we'll be able to answer a lot of those challenges through implementing some BIM execution planning best practices. Let's switch over. So this is Plannerly, but it's been branded as BIM Their Architects. So we're showing off some of our company plan features and being able to really customize for your specific regions and then have workspaces that you can add projects and group them for your customers. So I'm going to create a new project and it's going to be Infinite Building. And I'm going to jump into that project. And the first thing that I'm going to do is invite a teammate to help me out. So I know that Louis is on my project team, and I'm going to invite him and simply check the box actually as a manager so he can start helping with us. Now he will have got an invite. I know that he's not going to be the BIM guy. He's going to be the BIM manager on this project. So I can change his role for just this project. And then hopefully Louis will be able to help us out. So I can see Louis just added a logo for our team, and everything is live in the browser. Everything is being updated. So I can see Louis just added an image for our project. And maybe if I set up some quick links and maybe you fill in the project details, and we'll get this done double. So the first part to this is collaboration.
So part of the best practice is collaboration and being able to work on a document more quickly and efficiently with the team member, instead of it being a Word document that you have to process and then share and then reshare and send back. So working together on this collaboratively is one of the first best practices we want to mention.
There you go. So almost instantaneously, we've set up our links out to other sources that our project team is using. Louis set up the project details in Las Vegas. I love it. And we are BIM There Architects. This is our team. Actually, I was going to rename our team in here. So let me just, our team. And when we've set the project up, what's the first thing that we want to do then, Louis? Where do we go from here?
Let's get straight to it. Let's jump into the plan.
So the plan is all about processes, standards, best practices. And if we jump into the plan, we can see, okay, it's blank to start with, but I'm going to create a new section in here. And then I'm going to simply grab some content that I've been working on. Maybe the ISO guidance notes have just come out, which is really great, make it easy to work with. So I can copy and paste some content in here so we can start working.
If you have your current BIM execution plan, just copy and paste that content right in. It's easy as that, especially if you're using Word to Chrome integration. It actually asks you if you want to make all the formatting more consistent. So it'll actually find any consistencies and make them all consistent in the new document.
Yep. And so if we're collaborating together, you can see everything is saving to the cloud. So saved a few seconds ago. Louis will be, oh, there you go. Under my cursor, I can see Louis adding a section here, even with some engaging content like a video in as well. And
this could be a section that I could bring in from my own project, my own set of templates. So if we were working on as two separate teams and we wanted to merge BIM execution plans to really help this project out, this is a good way to do that.
Yep. And I can add tables or images, text, any content, videos I can grab. I can either drag and drop a video in here. I can get really into some very engaging content to be able to collaborate with Louis as he is making these changes as well. And I'm trying to follow our demo script. Where are we going next? Help me out, Louis. Oh,
you want to share? You want to bring in? You want to show how the templates are first?
Yeah, let me bring in some templates. That's a great idea.
So these are ways to create a new section. But once you've already done this the first time, you'll have a set of templates. So essentially, you'll be able to choose from this same project, or if you created a template project, a lot to choose from if you're just getting started. But if you have your own, it's very easy to create that first template. And that's another best practice we want to mention is templatizing your BIM execution plan so that, one, it makes your projects more consistent, but two, you really get more efficient with them from project to project. So really that first one is kind of takes the longest. Your second's just going to cut down the time to create. So usually we get asked to create a BIM execution plan due yesterday. So this will kind of help out with that.
Yep. So we've got a bunch of templates out of the box. And if you want more, you can request, but you can also build them yourself. In this example, I'm going to take the 3 sections inside of a category and I'm going to drag in my project information and it's going to build those inside of our plan. And if I open one of these, I can see, okay, this is great. Instantly, I've got content that's really useful that I can collaborate on, that I can edit if I want to. I can change, I can put links to, etc., etc. I can see Louis working on a section up here, and he's also adding some comments. I can see here, what do you think? I'm going to reply with, it looks great. And,
so the collaboration here is very key. We haven't sent an email. We're collaborating together, communicating like we would on social media, and it just makes approving or publishing a section a lot more quicker. So as you can see now, I've asked him for his feedback. He provided some feedback. I've responded, and now from I've shared it with him when I was ready, and now I've published this section, and throughout the whole thing, it's live, it's updated, no miscommunication here.
It's great, and I think that one of the key is being able to have all of this content tied together with that commenting thread and in bite-sized pieces. So instead of having to release the whole of our document to maybe the owner or the people, your client, what we can do is we can work on smaller bite-sized pieces, go through that commenting and approval workflow and publish just that content. So you can see other sections that Louis is changing. If I was to, and let's say that 2 of these are shared and 1 of them's published, and now maybe this is the right time to get Michelle's approval.
Yeah, so some of the project information we might need from the owner. So if we wanted to, at this point, let's go ahead and invite the owner, which is Michelle, and in this example. So you want to go ahead and add her?
Yep. So I would go to the project page and add the owner and their function and different color for them. What color are we? Making sure that we haven't picked the same color. And now I can add Michelle, and I know her email address. And this will we'll invite her with the permission of viewer. So we've got different permission levels, and a viewer will not be able to edit anything, but they can still comment. So when I hit the add, I've added Michelle. She's already got a photo in this, in the application, and now we can go and see what Michelle's page would look like when she logs in. Okay, I've been invited to the Northeast region, and there is 1 project that I have access to. She can just go into the project. You can see that she is a viewer. And as she goes into the project, she can see the teams and the contact details, but doesn't have an opportunity to edit anything. And the one thing might be interesting as well is that she has a different role. Her phone number will be completed based on her profile. So if she was to edit her profile and put in a telephone number, this is her telephone number, that would automatically update for everyone else on the project. And we can now see what Michelle sees. So I'm going to try and do a split screen, and we see Michelle going into the plan. You can see certain content she's able to see and certain content that's in progress that she's not able to see. And very much instantaneously, let's do a split screen.
That's something that's very key on collaborative platforms, or showing the transparency, but you still may want some privacy as you work, right? You don't want to share with the client an incomplete work or incomplete section. So this really helps your team work together, and then when you're ready to share that with everyone else, you can share that, and then they'll still be able to provide their feedback and have that whole feedback loop.
So the best practice here, is being able to work continuously. And when I'm happy, I'm going to share this. And when I share it, it instantly becomes available for Michelle on this side to be able to see what has been worked on. Really powerful, really quick communication. Also, Michelle will have had a notification to let her know that something has been changed and something is ready to be seen, ready to be looked at. There are specific notifications for Michelle. So when she gets added to a team and when certain content is ready for her to see. So I think this is a good point to where we've shared some information. We're at a good point where we may want to archive this document. So it's a best practice to archive as you go. It's really great to be able to see that progress, whether you're doing that weekly, every day, monthly, but to at least be able to track and version some of these documents as you go, so that just in case. So where would we go? We would go to the docs, and we would create the document. Very easy to understand what pieces that you're going to include in that document. I'm going to include a cover page, headers and footers, the information about the project, the team. So again, this is something that from a best practices perspective, not having to manage that as a separate section inside of your BIM execution plan, but it's part of the platform that the team updates themselves, so it's continually live. And we're going to include the plan. I'm going to also just take a look and change the cover page. So if I edit for the cover page, we could choose one that's been created for us, but our best practice is to make a nice cover page with a cover page background and maybe some text in here. Let's make the text white so that we can see it. My BIM execution plan. And maybe we want to put an image in here as well. So let's insert an image. I could drag and drop it. Let me try and find the same image. Let's put a Planoly logo in here. Nice. There we go. That's our BIM execution plan cover page, and it's saved. And now when I save the settings and give a document a title, I'm going to call it BEP, and I'm going to hit print. This is going to create us, as Louis said, the best practice is to archive as you go, but we can still work on the plan live at the same time. Let's take a look at that document that was created with our cover page and the project information all formatted nicely, and our list of people with the contact details that have been updated by themselves, not having to fill that out yourself, having a nice contents page, and then all of that content with the links to external documents that have been either uploaded or linked to, and everything in that document. Pretty quick.
That's a quick and easy document to create, huh?
Absolutely.
It formats itself.
So what we've done is, just to recap, we have created in a collaborative form a project and then added a team member to help us out. That team member has collaborated and online created the content in double quick time. And then we went into our plan and started to both create content pasting and also accessing the library of templates and dragging and dropping that content in to our project. So saving time and using templates. A lot more will be discussed about templates. And then we went through a commenting process. So I can see the comments that have happened on this section and also the history of the section. So another best practice is really keeping all of this history together so that at some point, if it's important, if it's useful for you, you want to know when it was published, who it was published by, and really be able to have that as part of the workflow rather than as a, oh, when did we send that file? Look it up on that email and try and find out more. And as we go through that workflow, we're sharing, we're publishing, and we're creating documents that are also archived. And we're also having the ability to have a feed of the history that has occurred. So that's kind of just a quick overview of where we have run through on those best practices.
Yeah, so one of the best practices was collaboration. You know, gather the teams in one area so that we can work on and access all of this information in one area. Now, the central hub for all your project and other web applications, the information, giving them your team's access to this is really key. You know, most teams members work on multiple projects. So if you can kind of gather all that information in one area and make it easier for them and say, okay, today I'm working on this project. Here's all the information. If you can do that by centralizing the information, that's key. Collaborative editing. You know, if you could have that platform to work on a document together, you can create that document so much faster. And then rich content, engaging content. So I created a video or added a video. You know, one, that minimizes the number of pages that we add on a BIM execution plan. And two, who doesn't like a video? Having that feedback loop is very key. Minimizing the number of emails. Of course, we all don't want too many emails, but, you know, we can communicate through an online platform like we do every day through other social media platforms. Templatizing your BIM execution plan is huge. If you've already done the work once, we can use some of that information for the next project, and it makes it that much faster for us to create. And then have a simple approval workflow. And when I say simple, it's mainly to make sure that we are all on the same page, whether your internal team or external teams really are aware and know how that approval workflow works. And it's very visual and plannerly, but if you can make sure that, you know, what the process is to get a section approved, that's huge. It's not just approving the whole document at once, it's approving section by section, because it's daunting to try to approve a whole BIM execution plan at once, as it's always changing and moving towards because of the project. And then continuous archiving. It eliminates some of the risk by being able to go back to a certain period of time and see what we've shared with others. So that continuous archiving throughout a project is really good. It's a healthy best practice that we should do. So those are just some of the best practices. Now, those are best practices that we share with teams and we go through with teams. But there's some questions that we should be asking ourselves as we create BIM execution plans. Whether it's whether we even have a BIM execution plan for this project. Does someone else from another team have that BIM execution plan? So these are some questions that we should be asking ourselves.
Do you even lift, bro? Come on.
Yeah. Do you even have a BIM execution plan? Do we have templates that we can start from, or do we have templates that we can access? There's dozens of Plannerly templates available, but do we have templates, a resource that we can use to start creating these templates?
And then how do we manage them? Have we got a process to go through to make sure that we can find them and update them and continuously have the right information in them? And do we know what the most important part of a BIM execution plan is? I think these are a lot of questions that we go through with customers. And when we ask this question, it's a variety of answers, but something we believe is that it's actually the scope is the most important part of an execution plan.
And how can we train our teams on this process, right? Is it formal training? Is it internal training, external for all of the team members on a project? We should be asking ourselves how we are going to get everyone on the same level of understanding.
Yep. Don't just send the document. Use it as a process and a tool. How do you help teams to use it?
Some use a BIM kickoff meeting for that, but you still need to take a little bit more time to make sure that they understand the process.
Yep. Actually, usually one person.
It's usually one person, but if we could do this together and make sure that they are responsible, it's just a conversation. If Clyde had just asked me, hey, can you help me build this together? Yes. I feel like now I'm part of this and it's part of my responsibility, instead of me assuming that Clyde's just going to go ahead and finish the document himself.
Yep. And sharing it. Historically, we've shared a lot of things on email, but that doesn't tend to work when we're collaborating via lots of different companies.
With an email, I share something and then you have to redline it, comment it, come throw it back. And it's just historically has taken more time than being able to chat or discuss through it.
Yep. All of that culminates in agreeing. And instead of it just being a high five, Dave's created the BIM execution plan, check, let's move on. It's actually, people understand what's in it. And that's part of the training process that we talked about. This document's pretty important. Yeah. It's really a very important part of that workflow. And therefore it should be mandated in contracts, and it actually is starting to become mandatory. So these are really, really powerful workflows that can enhance BIM use on your projects. And we've got a couple of resources. I know we're running over. I apologize because of, I think, my internet connection. I think there's been a couple of comments about choppy audio. We apologize. But the principle is that we're here to help. And there are a couple of resources. One of them is a set of in-app training videos, also accessible via the demo page. And then one of the really, the most exciting thing that has been going on in the past few weeks at Plannerly is the explosion in people signing up for the masterclass. And we beckon you to become a masterclass member and to run through that program. It's really, really based on using the application. So it's more about if you're using a BIM management workflow with Plannerly, and we're here to help for that as well. So let us know if you're interested in really valuable processes in place that will help your team and bring your team along. One of the things that we found is instead of it being a single person trying to implement, it's actually the team gets involved. And Louis, you've been on a few of these now where I think you expected one, maybe two people, and 15 people from the company show up. And it's been amazing the traction that then the BIM team is able to get in that workflow. It
really helps teams accelerate the on-ramp when they're jumping in and learning about BIM execution plans or just the BIM management workflow. It's usually it's one champion that's doing that, and now it's more teams, the project team members really understanding that whole workflow together.